Hi, welcome to Les2 Books. I'm Tara, and you can email me at tara@thelesbianreview.com with any questions or comments, or you can join our Facebook group, the Lesbian Review Book Club. I'm pretty excited today because I'm joined by Angie, who's an avid Lesfic reader, but you also may have heard of her wife, Meghan O'Brien. Welcome, Angie.
Hello.
So, we got to chatting, and you have kind of an interesting story about how you discovered Lesfic and kind of your path from there. So would you like to just share that? Like, how did you first discover it, and what did that mean to you?
Yeah, I was in the Coast Guard, kind of pretty much right out of high school, and I grew up in Texas, and so I didn't know any lesbians, although I worked at a pet store, and these two ladies came in with Dalmatians, and my manager told me those are lesbians, and I was like, how do you know? And he said, because they have wallets. And I was like, oh, and I touched my back pocket where I had my wallet. I was like, wait a minute, am I a lesbian? But anyway, so then I went in the Coast Guard where they weren't totally, hey, are you a lesbian? That's awesome. So I, spent all these years kind of hiding all of that and ended up being, finding another girl who also liked kissing other girls and really enjoyed that, but never had any kind of, I felt like I was in a bubble. I felt like she and I were the only two people in the world who had these feelings, even though I knew logically that wasn't the case, but it felt like it. So anyways, I got out of the Coast Guard and we moved to Northern California, and I started kind of making friends here and there with other lesbians just accidentally, they'd show me a picture of their roommate with their cat, and I was like, oh, here's a picture of my roommate with my cat. We're like, oh, okay. Anyways, and I had seen some lesbian movies like Bar Girls and, Go Fish or whatever. And then a friend of mine who was a lesbian gave me Tipping the Velvet. And for my birthday, she gave me Tipping the Velvet, some bath salts, and some candles. And I was like, okay, I read a lot, but I had never read lesbian fiction. I didn't really even realize it was lesbian fiction. And then I started reading it, and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. There's totally girls in here kissing each other. That is freaking awesome. And then I just couldn't get enough. I went online and I looked up, I think I just Googled, or probably not Google at the time, although I think I was past AOL at this point, but I think I just searched for lesbian fiction and came across Academy of Bards. Then it was my partner at the time was like, are you ever going to stop reading and start acknowledging my existence again?
So, for people who don't know, because there are probably about 5 of them, can you explain what the Academy of Bards is?
Yeah, it's been so long. I don't know if I'm going to have a very good explanation, but it was pretty much just a great place to go to find either fanfic. I think mainly, I'm assuming because it's Academy of Bards, I'm assuming it's mainly Xena fanfic that started it, but also original fiction. Just pretty much lesbian fiction, written by women, mostly.
Many of whom are still pretty popular authors in our genre.
Yeah, absolutely. That's when I started. I think my first thing I read on there was B.L. Miller. And I think she did Xena fiction. And I hadn't actually seen Xena at that time. And so I went on there looking for Lesfic and found the Xena fanfic. I was like, oh my God, I've got to watch whatever this is. And of course, totally loved it and blew through the seasons that I hadn't already seen. And yeah, anyways, and read all the Xena fiction I could find, and then moved on to everybody's original fiction.
Including a certain...
Yeah, well, K.G. McGregor. I really read a lot of K.G. McGregor, and Blaine Cooper. Read a lot of Blaine Cooper. And then I read Truth or Dare by Meghan O'Brien. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, this is super hot. Yeah. And then I wanted to find everything I could possibly find by Meghan O'Brien. And I remember at the time, I went to her website and she, Infinite Loop was not published, but it had just gotten picked up by Regal Crest, I think, or somebody who, Regal Crest published it first, but I don't know if somebody else had already, I don't know. Anyways, so there was a note on there that said the author had removed it because it had, the publisher had asked. And so I joined her Yahoo group and saw some people were saying, oh, well, it's over here. You can go find it over here. And so I ended up, and because this is before it was actually published. This was kind of that in-between place where I think she was editing. And anyway, so I found it and I read all of her short stories. And then I was in her Yahoo group, which was very active at the time. And I had gone to Good Vibes with my partner and a couple other friends. And we just had a really good time. We had a great time. And I can't remember like all the details of what I wrote, but I posted something on the Yahoo group, and ironically, it was about how like I loved my partner at the time, and like what a great relationship we had. And anyways, Meghan really liked that and messaged me. She emailed me, I think, and then messaged me, and so we became friends that way. Yeah, and then we started playing Halo together. And, would talk on Halo. She's so shy that she would never talk to me on the phone. We would only talk on Halo. Mm-hmm. Or we would write, we'd email each other back and forth or message or whatever. But yeah, we became really good friends. We were both in relationships at that time. And she lived in Michigan and I lived in Northern California. Yeah, so we got to be really close. And it's interesting. I think it's interesting when people become like their relationship is like a long distance relationship. Two strangers kind of meet each other and they just talk. Mm-hmm. It's like there's something very pure about that, I think, because when you're face to face with somebody, there's always going to be a little bit of physical. There's going to be a physical aspect to your relationship, even just friendships. I'm not talking about like sexual. I'm just talking about there's just it's just different than just. I think you pour your heart out more to somebody when you're just messaging them or emailing them. Anyways, we got to be really good friends, and then we both ended up single, and we're like. How you doing?
Yeah.
It wasn't quite as smooth as that, but...
Yeah.
You're listening to The Lesbian Talk Show. TheLesbianTalkShow.com, your hub of podcast information.
So, what is it like being married to an author?
It's funny because... I'm not only married to an author, but one of my best friends is also an author, Paige Braddock.
So good.
I love Paige.
And for people listening, oh yeah, sorry, you were about to say the exact same thing.
Oh yeah, no,
so you go ahead.
Missouri Vaun. But it's funny because Meghan, like being in a relationship with an author, you have to. And I don't want to say this like it sounds nothing bad about it, but you have to not take things personally in a way because you'll be in the middle of a conversation. I'll be like in the middle of a conversation with Meghan and I'll see her drift off, we'll be talking about something. I'll be telling her about my day or whatever. And I can see her drift off. And I think at first I kind of took it personally, like, God, am I just that boring? Like, is she just, I can't even hold her attention. I don't understand. But it's really not that. It's just, I think authors kind of live in this world where everything is a potential story. Everything is fair game. And I thought it was just Meghan, but then, now, like, I hang out with Paige, and she's the same way. Like, she, has a little notebook in her pocket, and she'll just, like, pull this little notebook out and jot notes down, And Meghan sometimes, like, I'll be talking to Meghan about something, and she'll go, wait. Shh. And then she'll get her laptop out, and she'll, type something. And I usually will, I'll wait for a minute and see if I'm going to get her back. And if I don't, I just go do my thing. And I just don't take it personally, it's just like,
Yep.
She's doing what makes her happy. And I don't want to stand in the way of that.
I'm also married to an author, and his thing more often is if you say something, like you might tell a story or you might say a line, and he'll say, I'm stealing that.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally.
Okay.
It's funny because I won't, sometimes Meghan will say that, or Paige will say that too, and I won't realize, or sometimes she'll say it, but sometimes I won't realize that she is stealing something until I'll be reading something that she's written. And usually I'll read things. I used to read things constantly. It was like, okay, I've written 3 chapters. Will you read it? And sometimes that still happens because she wants to know, is she on the right track? But now it's more, I usually read it halfway through, and then I wait until the first, I think it's called the proofs, come out, where you're looking for, it's pretty much done. Because I just read it so many times. If I don't do it like that, then it gets to be it does, she's trying to not take away the fan part. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I'm her biggest fan. And so she's trying not to ruin that for me. But, I'm not sitting here complaining that I get to read Meghan O'Brien books,
No,
as they're coming out of her head. But I will be reading them, and things will come up, like conversations that we had will occasionally come up, or, things that happen will come up. And it's funny just to see the personal things. A lot of it isn't. A lot of it is just stuff that just came out of her crazy head. But some of it, there are things that are in there that are like, oh my God, that's totally, especially if somebody's being annoying, it'll be some way I'm annoying. Can you use your imagination with this?
That's so funny.
Especially her best friend's sister, because she wrote that one for me. So it's little things in there, that are personal, because it was a birthday present.
Yes, and I think the world would like to thank you for encouraging her to share your birthday present with all of us, because that was a great book.
I know, I love it.
So, what have you been reading recently?
I just finished Breakthrough by Bryant. I kind of go through phases where I will read a lot of nonfiction, and then I'll read a lot of lesbian fiction, and I just kind of skip around. I'll read a lot of science fiction, and so I kind of hadn't read a lot of lesbian fiction in a while, and there were authors that I didn't really know about, that I had kind of heard a little bit here and there, but not read their novels. And I thought, oh God, I'm way behind on these people, and we met some of them at GCLS and everything. So anyways, I've really been making it a point since GCLS to read these people that because I think you kind of get stuck in these ruts where you're reading the same people's books every time. You don't really branch out to other authors. So I'm trying to remedy that. So anyways, I read Breakthrough by Kris Bryant, and then I actually read a few more of hers. I enjoyed hers. I've read, I just listened to Love at Cooper's Creek.
Oh, I love that book.
I love it. I loved it.
Isn't
And
it wonderful?
I thought the audiobook was really good because, let me see, Brittany
Pope. Yes. I love her too.
Yeah, she did, or I thought she was really good because she kind of has a little bit of a Southern accent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just perfect for Paige's book, or for Missouri Vaughn's books. It's like Paige has a Southern accent, and I think, I don't have much of a Southern accent anymore, but I'm from Texas, and it just felt right. Like her accent in there was perfect. I read Blend by Georgia Beers.
Yeah.
And I'm halfway through, and this is a reread, Words Heard in Silence by T. Novan. Have you ever read that?
No.
It's really good. It's historical fiction, and it's about a woman who dresses as a man and, fights in the Civil War. And I'm a sucker for stories like that. I am a total sucker for those. And so I'm enjoying it. I'm about halfway through, and I remember reading it years and years ago, and then Meghan has this crazy memory, and she uses it against me sometimes. We'll be in an argument, and she'll say, "Oh, well, you said this and this," and I'll be like, "No, I didn't," and she's like, "I'm the one with the memory, you're not." It's like, okay, well, that's true. But I said to her, a while ago, I was like, "Oh, I can't remember that book where it was like this," and I kind of gave a vague description, and she was like, "Oh, that's that T. Novan book, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I looked it up. She's totally right. Like, she remembers random actors' names and everything, or stories. Like, I'll be telling a story, and I'll be like, "Oh, it was a couple days ago." She'll be like, "It was 2 weeks ago." I'm just like, "Look, I'm a Texan. We generalize things, and we get the general idea of things." And she is Captain Literal, so.
That is so funny. So, what are you excited to read that you haven't had a chance to get to yet?
On my list is In Development by Rachel Spangler. I have that on my in my audio book queue.
That's a good one.
And I really want to read Jaime Clevenger. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't read. I did read one of hers. It was like a pick your own adventure type.
I love that book.
Yeah,
that book was so much fun.
That was fun, and what a great. I used to love choose your own adventure books.
Yes.
So it was fun to see it with lesbians, or read it with lesbians.
Well, and for people that don't know, that book is not only is it choose your own adventure with lesbians, it's like choose your own adventure erotic.
Yeah. But the one that I have on my list is 3 Reasons to Say Yes.
It's good. It's really good. I enjoyed that one a lot.
I haven't read it yet, but I'm excited to read it. I'm in the process right now of reading Spencer's Cove by Missouri Vaun.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping to soon be reading at least the first half of the Wild sequel.
So it's on. So it's happening. That's a real thing. Are you allowed to say that?
I don't know if I'm allowed to or not, but I'm saying it.
Okay.
I think sometimes she starts things and then she'll kind of put it down for a minute.
Yeah.
And do something else. But I know she's been working on it a lot.
Oh my God. That's going to make so many people happy.
And I kind of know what's going to happen. Of course, I'm not saying anything, but I know. It's exciting.
Okay. I'm going to resist asking too much because I want to go into it. I'm not even going to read the blurb. I'm just going to read it.
Yeah. Oh, no, you won't be disappointed. She was telling me, this is what I'm thinking. And it's so funny because she's got kind of this sweet little voice, and then she's lays all this out. And I'm just like, God, how does this come from your head?
Yeah.
It's just this little quiet Midwestern girl,
Well, because Wild was like super gritty. Like that's probably her darkest book, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. I think Battle Scars was very angsty.
Yes. Yeah, I would say that was angsty, but not necessarily like gritty and dark. And well, I mean, there were no serial killers.
Yeah. Meghan really likes angst.
Yes.
She enjoys angst, and it makes me anxious.
Well, you know what? I think a lot of readers like it a lot, though.
Oh, yeah. I do, too. I like it, too. I just,
You just wonder where it comes from.
Well, it's funny because, sometimes, like, I'll write things just for, me. I wrote Meghan a thing for her birthday, and it wasn't nearly as good. But it was, like, 82,000 words. It was a thing. Mm-hmm. But there's not really a lot of angst in it. And I was thinking when I finished it and I read it, and I was like, there's stuff, but, I was like, I don't know. I think it's amazing how authors can have these ideas in their head and they can just like put it onto paper, or a laptop, whatever. Yeah. And it's like a story that makes total sense.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a talent, I think.
Yeah. So, is there anything else that you want to share about your journey as a reader?
I don't know. I think reading for me is like I get so into it, so much more than watching a movie or anything. And for me, a good book is when at the end, like my favorite books, let's say, at the end, it's like, I don't want to say goodbye to these people. It's almost like you're going to have to say goodbye to friends.
Yeah.
That's just a total bummer.
Yeah.
So I mean, those are my favorite things to read. Is I like character development and I like romance. I mean, I married a romance author. Mm-hmm. I like dirty books. I married an erotica.
Mm-hmm. You did?
I did. I think that's just it. I think that I like kind of escaping, just like everybody. That's the whole point of reading, I think, is to escape. Even if it's just fan fiction. Yeah. It doesn't have to be a novel. Sometimes it's nice to just be able to go and have like this thing to read for 1 hour. You're going to have a beginning, a middle, and an end and be entertained for an hour, and it doesn't have to be this huge thing that you kind of devote hours of your life to.
Well, I think that is all for this episode. Thank you so much, Angie, for joining me.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'm Tara, and you've been listening to Let's Do Books. Remember to email me at tara@thelesbianreview.com with your questions or comments. If you're an author who's interested in joining me on this show, just drop me an email as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please check out the show notes where you'll find a Patreon link for The Lesbian Talk Show or visit patreon.com/thelesbiantalkshow. Patrons get exclusive content that no one else does, like bonus audio and author interviews from other shows across the channel. Don't forget to join our Facebook group, The Lesbian Review Book Club, so you can talk to us about anything that you're reading and loving. To find this and many other great shows, all you need to do is search for The Lesbian Talk Show on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, or Spotify.